What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we got a trio of Transformers battle cards we need to be having a little bit of a look at. And they're the kind of cards that we can't really separate them out. They come as a trio, they work as a trio, they do what they're supposed to do. So let's have a look, shall we? And we'll start off having a look at Dismantling Claw. Now, Dismantling Claw is an upgrade weapon. It's got a blue and a green icon. Now, we like the green icon because it means that at the end of a battle when attacking or defending, you may swap a card in your hand for this if you flipped it over. It means that you don't run the risk of always flipping it while attacking or defending. It means that you're going to be able to get it if you really want it. Now, it's got a blue icon, which, I mean, it really depends. If you're going for a mixed deck, this is great. But if you want to go for an attacking deck, you get +1 attack, but then a blue icon to help you defending. Having said that, if you want to go for a tough blue icon deck, but still be able to get a little bit of extra attacking, maybe this is for you. It only gives you +1 attack. That's not great. +1 attack is low. It literally could not be any lower without not helping you attack. But you see, if it is scrapped from a character, you get to scrap an enemy weapon. And the wording here is very important. You get to scrap any enemy weapon, regardless of which character it happens to be attached to. So this is kind of nice. It's not a great weapon. Like, the +1 attack is not good. Let's be clear about this. We can do a lot better. There are plenty of weapons out there that can give us +2 attack, many of which can do other things as well. I mean, if you just want an absolute bog standard run-of-the-mill +2 attack, we got primary laser back in wave 1. And that just gives you +2 attack. So make no mistake about it, getting the +1 attack is bad. But this is very much an eye for an eye kind of thing. Because, okay, you only get the +1 attack, but you get to take out your opponent's weapons. And maybe your opponent has got weapons that they really, really like. I mean, it's not always going to happen, right? But one of the coolest uses for this is Superior Cannon. The reason I love this against Superior Cannon is because Superior Cannon is great, gives you bold 4, it's phenomenal, but you can only play it after having played a tech research that turn. I know. So your opponent has to go to a lot of effort to get Superior Cannon on, but then if they try and scrap this, they've got to lose their Superior Cannon. Now remember, again, looking back at the wording, it's up to them. Your opponent can go, my Superior Cannon is too important, I am not getting rid of your Dismantling Claw, and that's fine. But it means they're not getting rid of Dismantling Claw. And an awful lot of people are playing stuff like Ramming Speed, or if they, maybe they want to go blue, in which case Vaporize. But either way, bunch of people are playing these kind of cards. Getting rid of upgrades is a fairly important thing. And the great thing here is, if your opponent wants to get rid of yours, they've got to get rid of theirs as well. Now, given that I'm looking at a trio of cards here, you can probably guess what the other two look like. We've got Reactive Armor, and it looks very, very similar. Now, this has an orange and a green icon, but again, it's an armor, so it's giving you the opposite icon, so that fits. It gives you +1 defense, which is quite low. But when this is scrapped from a character, you scrap an enemy armor. Now, this is arguably even better because it gets rid of Force Field. And I know that sounds a little bit flippant, I'm sorry, but Force Field, it's one of the most game-changing cards we have. Force Field guarantees you're only taking 4 damage. Also got a really fun art reprint in Wave 3. I much prefer the Wave 3 artwork. Nothing against the Wave 1 artwork, it's lovely. But I think the Wave 3 is better. But the point is, Force Field is the kind of thing that just prevents a KO unless you can get rid of it. So your opponent has to kind of stop and think whether they're willing to lose their Force Field. The thing is, Bashing Shield is a card that sees quite a lot of play at the moment. And Bashing Shield gives you +1 defense, and when you put it on a character, you scrap an enemy armor. Now, this is kind of fun, because it means if you've already got this on, if you've got your reactive armor, then your opponent might not be able to play their Bashing Shield. Essentially, they put Bashing Shield on, that scraps reactive armor, which then lets you scrap one of your opponent's armors, which hilariously could be Bashing Shield. Essentially, Bashing Shield gets rid of reactive armor, and reactive armor gets rid of Bashing Shield. Now, Bashing Shield does give you a choice of which enemy armor you get rid of, but if reactive armor is the only one out, then that's the only one they're actually able to get rid of, so, you know, maybe not so much of a choice. And weirdly, Bashing Shield and reactive armor are really quite similar. Same pip combination, same +1 defense, same you get to scrap an enemy armor. The thing is, Bashing Shield scraps it when you attach, reactive armor scraps when they try and scrap it. Now, on the one hand, that means you can essentially save reactive armor for when your opponent has a better armor on the field, and on the other hand, I just prefer Bashing Shield. And the reason is Bashing Shield is in your control. You attach, then you scrap an enemy armor. Reactive armor is reactive. Clues in the name, guys. Your opponent scraps it, then you get to scrap an enemy armor. So if your opponent, as I've already mentioned, if they really want to keep an armor on the field, they can just not scrap this. And that's what worries me about reactive armor. Now, there is one other card, but by now you really should have been able to guess pretty much exactly what it does. It is Personal Targeting Drone, and it's a utility, and it has a white and a green icon. It had to be, didn't it? And when it is scrapped, you scrap an enemy utility. Now, it doesn't give you +1 attack or +1 defense. They had to do something different. They've gone for Pierce 1. Okay, maybe this wasn't quite that easy to guess, but still, I think we would all have got there if we'd sat down and thought about it. Pierce 1, and here's the thing, right? It's Pierce 1 on a utility. And we kind of like having Pierce on a utility. It means you can use a weapon to upgrade your attacking, and then use utilities to upgrade your Pierce. So that's kind of cool. I do like this. This makes me moderately happy. I mean, one of the best piercing weapons we've got so far is Piercing Blaster. And Piercing Blaster gives you Pierce 3, but is very much a weapon. The other thing is, of course, having a green icon makes this a Pierce card that you can get back because it's got the green icon and it's easier to find. So there's a lot to like about this, and you can get rid of an enemy utility. And there's a million different utilities your opponent might be using, a lot of which tend to be faction specific. So you'll often find Dinobots running around using Jaws of Steel, a utility that gives them Bold 2, for instance. Or Aerial Recon, which is a very nice utility for planes. So this can be quite cool in terms of stopping your opponent using their utilities. I mean, utilities are really nicely used in the game. They tend to be faction specific or maybe just a little bit weird. So, for instance, both Stealthiness and Bravery are utilities which, as I'm sure you've figured out if you didn't know already, give you Stealth or Brave. So these can be really useful. My worry about all of these three cards is incredibly simple. It is in your opponent's control. So if your opponent has a utility they are not willing to give up, they are going to let you have Personal Targeting Drone. They are going to give up the chance to get rid of it because it's better for them to just keep their utility. And then we run into the issue of they're weak. Pierce 1 is weak, +1 attack is weak, +1 defense is weak. And yes, I know they've got the green icons, so you're going to find them more easily. And with the green icons, they tend to take a bit of a hit and be a bit weaker because you can find them a bit more easily. I get all of this, I really do. But I just don't know if I'm putting these in any decks. I am concerned that your opponent has the choice. And sometimes they will have to give it up. But outside of that, I think these might be a bit too easy to play round. If you are desperate for Pierce or increasing attack or defense while having a green icon, fine. But I'm going to be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, I'm still not particularly loving it, because if you want +1 attack with a green icon, how about you have attack drone? If you want +1 defense with a green icon, I've already shown you bashing shield. And okay, they're a bit faction specific, but Scoundrel's Blaster and Noble's Blaster have green icons, and they give you +2 attack, and they can give you PS2 as well. That's my issue here. I don't think they're good enough unless your opponent essentially walks into them. These get really good if your opponent's got an armor they really don't want to get rid of and they choose to scrap yours. And then you're largely hoping for your opponent to make a misplay. No. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure there are uses for these, and like I've said, they give you attack, defense, and pierce. They have the green icon. They can get rid of your opponent's upgrades. And sometimes they can get rid of upgrades that your opponent has attached since you put these on. But I think overall they're just a little bit underpowered. But I would very much like to know what you think, so please do let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, and follow me on Twitter at the Wossy, where we talk about Transformers and a whole bunch of other games, like Final Fantasy, which we've just started covering. Check out the videos, it's really fun. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wossy Plays.